Harden. I'm conducting this interview on behalf of Unity Hospice. Today we are interviewing Donald Joseph Newberry. The date is April 10th, 2017, and this interview is being conducted in Freeport, Illinois. The purpose of this interview is to record the veteran experience of Donald Newberry for the Veterans History Project. Can you please tell us your full name?
Donald Joseph Newberry.
And your date of birth?
May 30th, 1930.
And what branch of service did you serve in?
U.S. Air Force.
What was the highest rank that you attained?
At that time they called it Airman First, but it would be called Sergeant.
Okay. And did you serve during any war or conflict?
During Korean.
Korean? Okay. All right, Don. Where were you born?
Rock Island, Illinois.
Okay. And what were the names of your parents?
George M. Newberry and Clementine Newberry.
Okay. And what did they do for work? What were their occupations?
They both went to college to become pharmacists, but they never used it.
Okay.
They became, my father became a retail store, paint and wallpaper.
Oh, okay.
Owned it and operated it, for years.
Neat.
And then my brother and I just fell into that.
Oh, okay. What did your mom do?
My mom, she stayed home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I had one brother and one sister.
What were their names? Or what are their names?
Brother was George,
Okay.
so he was like the third George in a row.
Oh, okay. All right.
And my sister was Mary Pat.
Okay. Did either of them serve in the military as well?
My brother George.
Okay.
during
What branch
World War II.
of World War II? What branch of service did he choose?
Navy.
Navy. All right. So what made you choose Air Force and him choose Navy? What was the
I always had dreams that I'd be on a flight crew,
Yeah?
and I never got there.
Oh. Oh. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what you were doing before you entered the service.
Basically, I was working in my dad's store,
Okay.
and at nighttime I was working at a fast food, like a sandwich shop.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to save some money for a car.
Okay. What kind of car were you saving for?
I bought a brand new Ford, four-door sedan, and first time Ford went over $2,000.
And you saved for it, huh?
Yeah.
And you got it. What color was it?
Copper bronze.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So tell me a little bit about when you decided to join the military. Did you enlist? Were you drafted?
I enlisted.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about the day you went in and signed up for the Air Force.
It was something different. Went into Chicago and went into this one room, and it was full of guys, and they talked to us about the what would I say, the responsibility of joining and stuff like this, and then they had us all line up and give the pledge,
Yeah.
and then went home, and we had to come back the next day
Yeah.
for the travel, and like all Air Force, you go down to Lackland first,
Mm-hmm.
and this was at the height of Air Force pulling men in to serve,
Mm-hmm.
and it was overcrowded. So they transferred a bunch of us up north. I forget what the name of the base was now.
That's okay.
I might have it here. I don't.
That's all right.
Anyhow, it was up in the panhandle of Texas. So we finished our basic up there,
Okay.
and we had some good times and some bad times.
Yeah. So what did let's back up to when you actually joined. What did your parents think about that?
My mother was apprehensive.
Was she?
Mm-hmm.
As most mothers would be.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, she didn't want me to join. So. But I said, well, it's a matter of joining now or getting called later.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and this way I could pick what I wanted.
Right. So what was your official entry date? What date did you join?
8th of December, 1950.
1950. All right. And was your brother, is he older, younger?
Yeah,
Was,
he was older.
Oh, so was he already in the Navy then when you joined?
He'd been in the Navy and come back home from
Oh.
World War II.
Oh, okay.
And then he was called back for Korea.
He was. Okay. All right. So tell me a little bit about basic training then. Tell me some good memories. Tell me some scary stuff. Tell me what you thought about it.
The training down in Texas, down in Lackland, was kind of basic. I mean, Air Force had just become a unit of its own prior to that by 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So all their supply lines weren't in good shape yet. So we were doing our drilling with our civilian shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I wore out a pair of shoes. And every day we'd go down to the supply dip. Well, today you get a pair of socks and tomorrow maybe a shirt.
Oh, okay. So
You
they
know,
didn't have everything ready for you right away.
No,
No, okay.
no. And then, let's see, that was kind of hard getting used to living with other guys, you know?
Yeah.
And
Did you live in a big room? Was it a big room
Big
with a bunch of
barracks.
barracks? Yeah.
Yeah,
How many
yeah.
guys do you think were in that room?
40 or 50.
40 or 50, all in the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that got kind of hard to get used to a little bit.
Yeah.
But I had been gone through parochial system in school, so I was able to take orders better, you know.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
good training.
Yeah. And then, well, this one day or one Sunday, it was Easter, and two friends of mine, and I don't even know what their names are anymore.
Yeah.
But we went into Denver because we said, well, you know, it's Easter, we'd like to see a mass in the church, you know, rather than just the base chapel.
Right.
And as luck would have it, we stumbled onto the cathedral, and we walk in there and get ready for mass, you know, and here they had the Denver Philharmonic Orchestra in the choir loft.
Wow.
And when they started with that Hallelujah, it just sent shivers up and down your
Oh,
spine.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
So we were so glad that we'd gone into town. You know?
Yeah. That's a great memory.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
What other kind of training did you get when you were in basic training? What kind of things did they teach you?
Not too much.
Yeah. Did you do a lot of running and?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Our when we were up in Upper Texas there, why the barracks chief was a corporal, and I guess he wanted to make points.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he was pretty rough on us at times.
Yeah.
And when we went through the obstacle course, why he kept pushing us so much that we passed up 2 other flights. You know.
Did you enjoy that kind of stuff?
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Kind of make you feel like you were doing something.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Kept you busy. Kept
Oh,
the
yeah.
time moving on.
Yeah.
Nice. So tell me a little bit more about maybe how it was to adapt to the food, living in the barracks, the social life of, tell me a little bit about those kind of details. Do you remember some stuff from then? What was the food?
Yeah. Like I said, this barracks chief was pretty rough. But,
Yeah.
I can remember one night when I was in the upper floor and lights out, and there was this one kid from Indiana, kind of a sharp guy, and then there's another kid from Brooklyn who was dumb, you know. And this guy from Indiana started getting on the guy from Brooklyn, and the guys in the upper loft started laughing and everything.
Yeah.
And barracks chief came running up the steps and he said, I don't want to hear anymore, you know. And so went back down. It was quiet for a while. And this guy Indiana started up again. And we were just roaring, you know. And the flight chief, or barracks chief came up and he said, that's it. He had us all get in our fatigues, come down, go to the drill field, march around a while. And he said something about the guys on the bottom. He says, don't deserve this. And but he says, maybe you guys will learn now. So we went back. So the next morning, he said, well, it's a beautiful morning. He said, we could have open foot lockers outside. So he has all carry our foot lockers down there. And he said, but who told you to come in fatigues?
Oh.
So we had to get dressed in Class A's, you know, and he came back out. And he said, well, he says, that looks pretty good. He says, but I think your bedding needs airing. So we had to carry the mattresses down and stuff, you know.
Oh my gosh.
And then after it was all over, he says, well, he says, you can't work in those clothes. He said, you better get back in your fatigues, you know.
That was punishment, huh?
Yeah.
Change and change and change again, carry
Yeah.
things down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Was everybody mad at Indiana and Brooklyn who?
No,
No.
no, no.
Wow. Wow. So then, from basic training, did you go to schooling then for your
Yeah, I
job?
went to Denver for
And what was your
supply-
job?
Supply training.
Supply. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What was your official job? Yeah,
The
Emma.
warehouse.
Warehouse supply.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. All right.
And
Where was that training at? Where was
Denver.
That? Denver. Okay.
Yeah, we flew from Texas to Denver,
Okay.
and I said I could take the bouncing around on a plane, anything, but going in a circle, I can't take that.
Right.
So anyhow, these guys were getting sick when we were going over the mountains because the plane was bouncing,
Right.
but I was okay, you know. And we get to Denver, and as we are dropping off guys that were going to their assigned areas, the area where I was at kept getting worse looking, you know. Ended up in tar paper sacks, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
In Denver?
Yeah.
Wow. And what base was that?
Let's see. Lowry.
Lowry. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what did you think when you landed in Lowry and looked around and went, holy cow?
Yeah. we thought this, I'm at the end of the dump, you know.
Yeah.
And that night I got homesick.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
And didn't go to eat or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next day I was okay.
Okay.
But
And so that was your schooling then to learn the supply?
Mhm.
Okay. How long was that training?
about 2 months.
2 months. Okay.
I got there in, let's see, we got there in January, last part of January. Yeah, February, March, because I think my first assignment was April.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
That was down at Scott Air Force Base, Southern Illinois.
Okay. All right. So your training to learn your job, what did you think about that kind of training? Is that what you wanted to do? Is that
Oh, I accepted it.
you accepted it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about what does it mean, warehouse supply? What kind of things did you do? What was your...
Well, maintained the inventory and had to know where the location of things were in the warehouse.
Okay.
I always had kind of, what should I say, not enough rank for what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
My first assignment, like I said, was down at Scott, and the master sergeant in charge there was getting out of service, and the new one hadn't come yet. And the mid level of service in the warehouse was to be a 3-striper or a 4-striper.
Sure.
Well, I had none. You know, in those days, they didn't give stripes for getting out of basic.
Right.
You had to serve 6 months before you could earn a stripe.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. And that's different now, right?
Oh, yeah.
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 Okay.
And I think I enlisted the Air Force at the worst possible time.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we were at the supply school, and it was during the winter time. And when you weren't in school, you had to do all kinds of whatever duty they found for you. And so this one day, we only had one pair of shoes and 2 pair of socks. And this one day, we were shoveling snow out in front of one of the headquarters buildings. And I think it was a master sergeant came along and saw us. He just looked at our feet. He said, "You guys come follow me." So he took us down in the basement. He had us take off our shoes and socks, draped our socks over a heater pipe, and the shoes, to try and drain out as much as possible. So he was real good to us.
That was nice.
Yeah.
That was nice. A lot of times the higher up ranking don't really think of the lower ranking and
Well,
taking
but
care of
sergeants are a little bit different breed,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I did that.
Yeah.
That's
And
wonderful.
I got in trouble because I didn't know how to keep a fire in a furnace,
Right.
so the fire went out, and I got extra duty for that.
You did? What did you have to do for extra duty?
Oh, another KP.
Yeah.
They called me the KP kid every time a list came up. my
Explain
name
what
was-
KP is for people that might not know.
Well, kitchen police, that's where you are assigned different duties to clean the cooking utensils and stuff that the cooks use to help serve on the serving line.
Okay.
And then afterwards you had to mop up everything,
Yeah.
clean up and everything.
Did you get in trouble a lot? You hesitated.
Really.
Yeah.
I was kind of lucky. I escaped a couple of narrow ones.
Yeah. So what about when you were in training, basic training or your schooling training for your job? Did you get to have any fun? Did you get to go and see places? Did you
No.
get to, no, it was just strictly training?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
with one exception, when we were in Denver, and we're pretty close to the end. And one of the guys turned 21, so we went into Denver to celebrate his birthday.
Yeah.
And at that time, popular drink was Moscow Mule,
Oh, yeah.
and that was vodka, and I don't know, like it was a mixture of 4 or 5 alcohols.
Right.
And we went through, I don't know how many of those.
Oh.
And so we missed the bus to the base, so we walked back.
Oh.
And it was below zero.
How far of a walk was that?
Oh, half a mile.
Oh, okay.
But
Probably good you can get some fresh air after.
oh yeah. Well, and then the alcohol insulated us from the cold.
Right, right.
But then the first thing we get back on base, and we're walking to our barracks, and we had our top coats open, and the APs came along, and they chewed us out for that.
Yep, because you weren't in uniform then,
Yeah.
huh? Right. Wow. So, okay, so then from Denver you went to Southern Illinois?
Yeah,
Okay, and that was your first duty station?
yeah.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about that. What did you think when you got to Southern Illinois? What were your...
I was not married yet, and like I said, the people that were supposed to be in charge of it weren't. The master sergeant was getting discharged. The new one hadn't come to replace. The 3-striper was in the brig, so I go in with no stripes at all, and I'm expected to run the place.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You were the highest ranking then? Is that
Yeah,
how it was?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what were your duties then as far as having to run the place? What kind of...
Oh, well, it was what they called an outside plant, which was the communications. And they were, in this place where I was at, they were teaching guys how to climb poles and connect wires and stuff like this. And then I was running the supply area and doling out the tools and stuff that they needed. Yeah. And then
Was it supply for a certain? Was it supply for like helicopters? Was it supply for, or was it just
for communications?
your community? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. In fact, I had to go up to the main area to get some of my supplies, and that was a area where I had to have special clearance for what do you call it, intelligence.
Okay.
And all the time I was there, I was so busy doing other things that I never did get final clearance.
Right.
But they knew me and let me in, you know. And the major in charge, he said, "When are you going to get that paperwork done?" But he was a character too, you know. He was one of the few officers that I met that I would never care to meet on the street again.
Right. Right.
I mean, he took advantage of all his men.
Oh. Used his power to his benefit, huh?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then he did, you know, he came down one morning and said, "I've got these oak leaves," he says, "because I know how to do the job of every man under me, only better."
Wow.
So one night when we had a thunderstorm down there, and the manholes were getting flooded with water. So he rousted everybody out. It must have been about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So I had to go with him, you know, because I had to do out the tools and stuff.
Right.
So I was sitting alone in the place, and this one, couple of guys came back laughing, and I said, "Well, what's the big joke?" He said, "Well, the major was with us, and we opened this one manhole, and he didn't wait for anything. He just jumped in, and the water was over his head. We had to help him out."
Oh my gosh.
So they started pumping out the manhole with a pump, you know, with water.
Right.
And he got down to where it was like, you know, ankle deep or something like this.
Sure.
And he jumped back down in and pulled the wrapping off all their connections.
Mm-hmm.
So they all shorted out. And he shorted out half the base.
Wow.
And he didn't get any.
Because he thought he knew what he was doing, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. So that didn't humble him at all by having somebody
Oh,
have to
no.
help him out. He just kept going.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, no restrictions on him or anything, I guess, at the base for that.
Right.
Where, you know, a plain GI like us, if we drop a cup in the mess hall, you have to pay for it.
Right. Yeah. That's very true. That's how the ranking, though. I mean, higher
Yeah.
ranking, you get away with more than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So the rest of the time I was down there, they were replacing cable. You know.
Yeah. So how long were you there?
I was there a year, but unmarried for the first 6 months,
Yeah.
and then got married. And prior to that, while I was down there before getting married, the list for overseas assignment, I hardly ever got on it. And so then it seemed like as soon as I got married, I was on every list that came
Of
out.
course. Where did you meet your wife?
Oh, I met her in Freeport.
Oh, okay. So you knew
I
her
knew her
before?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So were you guys dating then throughout all your time in the basic and all your training and stuff? You were.
Well, yeah, but if you call it.
Yeah. Long distance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And
you
then,
got married?
yeah.
Then?
I
Okay.
got married in November of 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. November.
So was she able to come down there with you, or yeah?
She was an
Okay.
RN,
Oh, all right.
and she could get a job just about anywhere.
Sure. Okay.
And so
What's your wife's name?
Ruth.
Ruth. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So from Southern, then you were there a year. Where'd you go after that?
Went to Arabia.
You did go to. Okay. Tell me about landing in Arabia. What was that like?
It was different. First night, get off the plane. It was hot and muggy,
Yeah.
you know, and because where Dhahran is, they get a breeze off the ocean that had moisture in it.
Right.
Where the rest of the desert doesn't, you know.
Right.
And but it was hot and muggy, and we couldn't understand why these Arabs were walking around in top coats.
Right. They were used to it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And so we thought, oh, that's how stupid that was.
Right.
It was the old British type top coat that the Arabs wore,
Right.
down by their ankles. Yeah.
So what were you sent there to do? What was your, was
Warehouse.
it warehouse? Okay.
And there again, the top rating there at the time was a staff sergeant, and he was there about 2 months and then rotated home.
Okay.
So I was there the rest of the month as the top ranking,
All right.
and I only had 2 stripes.
Wow.
And that was a big one too, because it was next to the major dump, supply dump,
Okay.
and a lot of mine was separate things according to your serial numbers and stuff, you know. And some of it went into the warehouse I was at, and some went somewhere else, you know.
Okay.
And then I was there a year, and during that year was the warehouse I was in was a corrugated sheet metal, and 120 outside,
Yeah.
130, 140 inside. And our air conditioning was just open all the doors. You know.
Right. I was gonna say you probably didn't have central air.
No, they hadn't. The only place that had that was the main supply headquarters.
Right.
And they had like a concrete building and everything.
Okay. All
And
right.
our barracks was concrete block. And was the only one on the base as far as.
Oh, okay.
Technically, we were some of the first GIs ever in Arabia.
I was gonna ask you what was the United States doing in Arabia? What were we there for?
We were there to take the civilian landing airfield and enlarge the runways to accommodate fighters and bombers.
Okay.
Because at that time they wanted to base a ring of bases around Russia. And this was at the height of Korean and the, what do you call it, the Silent War.
Right. Right. Okay. So then, in Arabia, did you see anything cool? Did you see anything
Oh, yeah,
different?
different
What kind of
things.
stuff did you see there that?
We were able to get off base. There was nothing much to go to. The oil field men, they had a nice place up
Yeah.
on top of what we called the hill, which was Dahran. And they had quarters for single guys. So we would drift towards them naturally, I mean.
Right.
And we could sit at night and have a beer and play pool or,
Yeah.
they treated us real good.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's some stress relief and kind
Yeah,
of some social
yeah.
to have some fun and.
yeah. But
Good.
you couldn't do that very often, because you couldn't afford, especially when I was in the service like that, half of my pay went to the wife.
Oh, right.
So you couldn't afford to spend much money. And anyhow, on weekends, we were able to get a truck and go up to another oil refinery. And up there we could get a hamburger,
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Some comforts from home. Huh?
yeah. And then on the way, there was always places you stopped. There was an old Portuguese fort on the seacoast there that was crumbling down there. But
Yeah.
we stopped there. And, one time we stopped at a place that the oil company had uncovered. It was a burial site for 4 people,
Oh.
and it was laid out like in 4,
Right.
like points of the compass, like. And they consider that as probably about Noah's time. So that was
Oh,
interesting.
yeah. Wow. Because otherwise, you probably never would see that if it wasn't for being in the Air Force and going over there. That's
Right.
something cool that you normally would never see.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So where did you go after Arabia then?
Back to Texas.
Back to Texas? Okay.
At Webb Air Force Base.
And where were you at when the Korean War started?
Probably working in my dad's store.
Yeah. Okay. Did that scare you at all
No.
when it started? No. Okay.
No,
So
I just thought it was my duty to get into it.
sure. So what was your take on the Korean War? What was your interaction with the Korean War? What was with this war going on and you're serving at all these different locations? What was your part in all of it?
Well, basically, it was like to support the guys that were in Korea.
Yeah.
Like I said, we were trying to build a base around,
Right.
And
Did you have any friends that went over there? Did you know anybody that
well, some of those guys from my first assignment, they went over to
they
Korea.
got sent over there?
Yeah, and unfortunately, some of them got transferred to Army duty
Oh, okay.
because the Army was short of
Right.
communications people.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. And did you ever wish that you got sent over to Korea to be there with your battle buddies, or were you kind
They're
of
kind of neutral on that.
yeah?
I
If
mean,
you had to go, you had to go. If
Yeah,
not, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could, you had to go where you ordered. So,
Sure.
yeah. And then while I was in Southern Illinois, there, one of these guys that had gone over to Korea, and it was cold, and he didn't have a field jacket. So my big deal as a supply man, you know how you wheel and deal and supply like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy that was supply man for clothing. I said, "You need a field jacket." He said, "Well, what for?" And I told him, "Oh," he says, "I tell you what," he says, "I need some hooks to hang clothes on." And he said, "If you get me a bunch of hooks," and he said, "a couple dozen," he says, "I can get you a jacket.
Nice.
Nobody doesn't have to sign for it."
Right.
So anyhow, I went back and tried to figure out. They had these insulated hooks, that screwed in, and then the wire went through it,
Right.
through the insulation. So if you broke the insulation off, you had a good hook. So I managed to break 24 of those.
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
But you got that field jacket, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
And then a couple of his buddies that were still here in Illinois, they mailed it to him.
Yeah.
But he was transferred to Army and was working as a guard on supply train.
Oh. That's kind of a change of a job, huh?
Yeah, well, that's typical.
Yeah.
You never trained for what you actually do.
Yeah, that's true. Wow. So then you were in Arabia and then you went back to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what did you do there then?
Well, Arabia was a different feeling.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Well, like I said, we were there a year, and end of the supply line, and our food was horrible. They always say, well, Air Force, they get what they want.
Right.
Not so,
Yeah.
And we were at the end of the supply line as far as food was concerned. So we were getting C&D rations and dehydrated, everything dehydrated, and we said orange didn't taste good unless it had green going through the middle,
Right.
and our chicken was all black on the inside,
Oh.
and you ate what you ate.
Right. So you look forward to those times you were able to go get yourself a burger, huh?
Right.
Or something decent.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then once a month, we were able to go over to Bahrain Island and go through the marketplace there.
Oh, okay.
And they would have different booths, and if you wanted a pair of shoes, you walked in and picked out the leather that you wanted them done in, and then they just measured your foot
And made them for you.
and made them.
Wow.
And it was different. You go one time to be sure the shoe size was right.
Yeah.
And but I never participated in it because I didn't have the money to do it.
Right.
And then the same thing with shirts and things like that.
Wow.
And this one time we got to the marketplace, and all the kids always ran to us. They wanted to be our guides.
Yeah.
So they'd throw coins out on the ground, and they'd pick them up and be your guide.
Right.
And so this one time, there were 3 or 4 of us, and we said, well, we've seen everything. Can't you show us something different? And he thought a minute. He said, you wait here. He disappeared down one of the alleys. Came back in about 15, 20 minutes. He says, come follow me. So we followed him down the alley and up an outside flight of steps and into this place. And I said, you couldn't have done it better in the movies. It was like Sidney Greenstreet, the big fat guy. And he had hassocks in a circle. And we all sat down in a circle. And he clapped his hands and a girl would come out to show us something,
Right.
And he had this girl come out with this chess set. And it was like a very ornate base,
Mm-hmm.
how they did with the mother of pearl and all this kind
Right.
of stuff. And it was a base like that, and then the top folded out like this. And inside was the black and white players in ivory.
Wow.
And we asked him what he wanted for it. None of us could, with the 4 of us, we couldn't come up with the amount.
Right.
So we walked out of there with nothing bought. And I imagine he was pretty perturbed about it.
Right.
But it was something there again,
Right.
And so, yeah, we said if we'd been able to buy that piece, we could have brought it back to the States and would have been worth a fortune.
Right. Did you, when you were over there, did you buy anything, or did you send anything back to your wife?
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of stuff did you get?
Well, we had these like small rugs
Uh-huh.
that were picturesque, and I bought about 3 or 4 of those and shipped them home. And at one time they had this cloth with kind of like a cloud blue,
Mm-hmm.
and it had like silver metallic threading in it,
Okay.
and done, in a arabesque type patterns. And I bought like 2 yards of that, I think, and sent them home to my wife.
Cool.
And she had a dress made out of it.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
And was she able to send you stuff as well, like care packages and?
Her mother did.
Oh,
Her
okay.
mother sent me cookies all the time.
I was gonna ask if it was food.
Yeah. Her mother sent me cookies all the time.
Oh, that
And-
was probably a nice
and
mail call.
when I got the cookies, everybody in the barracks knew it.
Did you share?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to.
Yeah. That's neat.
Oh yeah, this crazy thing, TWA came in with our mail and stuff about 2 or 3 times a week
Right.
because it was a civilian field yet. And of course we had mixed it with Arabic stuff, so
Right.
a guy would come running in and he'd say, Teeny Weeny just came in with wajid shufin material. So, everybody ran to the mail. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's neat. So
And-
tell me something else. What other kind of stories do you have of your time?
Our music at the base came from Australia during the daytime. And then at night, our base radio would come on probably about 6 o'clock and be on until nights out.
Oh, okay.
And
What-
then they would always sign off with Doris Day,
Yeah.
I'll see you in my dreams.
Oh.
And you could just hear
Yeah.
Everybody in the barracks, ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
So when you hear that song after you
Oh,
got
yeah.
out, you always thought of that, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's neat.
yeah.
That's neat.
And then while we was there, we took our R&R in Eritrea. And
Eritrea.
yeah,
Okay.
that's next to Ethiopia.
Oh, all right.
And
How long did you get for R&R?
it was supposed to be like, I think 4 days, but
Okay.
we had longer time because the base was socked in with a desert storm.
Oh, right.
So we couldn't bring planes in. So we had 2 or 3 extra days.
Oh, nice.
But the initial days we spent with, they had a small army detachment there. And so they took us out with a truck and went hunting. And so we had like a mini safari,
Yeah.
for like 3 or 4 days. We slept out. And the one morning was just as we were waking up, and the mist was just clearing, and we could hear this tinkling. We didn't know what the tinkling was. Well, as we all got up and started looking away, as the mist rolls away, here it's a camel caravan walking down a dry riverbed, and it was the bells on the camels.
Wow.
And it was just like ghosts coming out of the,
Right.
yeah.
Just were they wild camels or
No,
were they...
no, it was a regular caravan. It was,
Oh,
They were
okay.
loaded down with
Wow.
stuff.
Wow. That was a sight, huh?
Yeah.
Something you wouldn't see every day in Freeport.
Right, right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah.
That's neat.
And then the Red Cross got us 3 days up to Jerusalem, where it wouldn't count off our leave time. And we were there again. We flew up during a sandstorm, and we were there a couple extra days because of the sandstorm. Going up, we were in a C-47 with a twin engine, which was the workhorse of the Air Force at the time.
Right.
And they had an inboard tank for extra gasoline, so that took away some of the passenger area. And plane had to climb to get above the sandstorm. And we were about half or 2/3 of the way. The flight engineer comes in with a dipstick to see if we got enough gas to get there.
Oh, that's not something you want to see, right?
Right. And then when we got
Aw.
to Jerusalem, they had a crosswind. And the first time we went in for the landing, the plane kind of drifted to the one side off the runway. So the pilot had to make another run at it and came around and used up about 1/3 of the runway, and cut engines just dropped in.
Wow.
And then coming back, we were aboard a tricycle landing gear transport. I think it was a C-54. It had a 4-engine, but they were picking up people from all these other bases to take home. So it was just standing room only almost.
Yeah.
And that took a while. Well, we had 4 or 5 of us had to climb up in the cockpit,
Uh-huh.
so the plane could be on the front tricycle wheel, so they could taxi or land.
So they had to adjust the weight in the in
Uh-huh.
to get. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and then we had at our base over there, they had some. They had a weather group and a air sea rescue group. About 6 guys in the air sea rescue group, and I don't know how many in the weather. The weather had 2 B-29s, and the air sea had 3 helicopters.
Okay.
And they managed to crack them up, all 3 of them, the year I was there.
Wow.
They were a wild bunch.
Yeah.
And we had 2 chaplains, and because we were in Arabia, they couldn't wear the cross on their collars. And the one Catholic chaplain, he told us one time at Mass, he says, "You guys," he says, "you should be coming to confession and communion every week. He says, I've seen those mechanics hand making gaskets. But he was a good guy, a good joke.
Yeah.
And like I say, we went over to Airtree and then came back.
How long did you serve total? How long were you in the Air Force?
3 years. I was signed for 4, and after Korea ended, the Air Force had to get rid of personnel.
Oh, okay.
So they cleaned out the guardhouse first. And then they took guys that had been in rank a long time without advancing.
Mm-hmm.
So they got rid of them. So then they still had to get rid of those guys. Well, I was working in a consolidated warehouse at the time, and there was probably 8 or 10 of us working there. And orders came down that Air Force still had to get rid of men. So the major in charge came down and he says, I have to get rid of men. He says, I don't want to. He says, so he says that the Air Force thinks I should get rid of all 3 stripers. Well, I just made my 3 stripes before I came back from, you know.
Of course.
Yeah, and so he lined up all the 3 stripers, and there was like about 6 of them, I guess. And he says, all right, he says, whoever wants to stay, take a step forward. And nobody took a step forward.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, he says, I'm going to be losing all you guys. And so anyhow, he says, well, that's it, I guess. So we were all getting ready for getting out of the service. And we were doing dumb duties and stuff like that.
Right.
And so the tech sergeant came over to me with this one time. He says, Newberry, he says, if you stay in, he says, I can guarantee you a stripe, and you work in Class A's up in headquarters. And I thought, well, I don't want to be in headquarters with all the officers.
Right.
So I turned it down. You know.
Yeah.
But anyhow.
And how old were you when you joined?
20.
20. Okay. All right. So then you got out after 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you came back to Freeport then?
Yeah, and then worked with my dad. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wonderful.
But I said, you know, the Air Force gave me plenty of experience. It's just those 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, you know how I couldn't take the circling?
Right.
When we came into Cairo on the way over, I was probably the lowest ranking on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
So I was way back in the tail. And all I had was a little porthole like that to look out. And the plane started circling to come landing at Cairo. And here I am in that little back place there. And I
you're
can't
circling.
take it. So I missed seeing the pyramids.
Oh. Oh. Because they had to go circling and make you sick, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I want to make sure we get through some of your stuff that you have to share. Some of your pictures. So if you want to maybe share some stuff, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold it up and show the camera.
Well, this is just my.
What is this picture?
This is my basic training group.
Okay. Is it in? Oh, it's in the book. Let me lean this up. This is basic training in. That's a neat picture. And what was this picture? Where was this?
That
one?
was graduation.
Okay. Can I take this out of here like this?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it back. Basic graduation? Basic training? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you were 20?
Yep.
Yeah? Wonderful. What else did you have in there that you wanted to...
Well, let's see. That's some pictures I asked when I was over in Arabia. I asked my wife for some pictures. I said, send some sexy pictures. This was her idea of sexy.
Those were her sexy pictures?
Yeah.
Let's show those. Because you missed her, huh?
Yeah,
You were
you
like,
bet.
send me some sexy pictures.
Yeah.
She's a pretty lady.
Yes, she was, yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. In her nurse's uniform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then this was a couple of 2 or 3 pictures of,
Is that you and her?
yeah, before I went over to Arabia.
Before Arabia.
That was my leave time.
Oh.
And then this was largest Air Force Base in
Okay.
Azores, you know, as we were going over.
Right.
We stopped there for gasoline.
Okay.
And this is Tripoli.
Tripoli.
We stayed there 3 days because there again, I think the base was sacked down because of sandstorm.
Oh, okay.
And we stayed in some old German barracks and went swimming in the Mediterranean.
Cool.
And we went to town the one time. They let us. We had to get script. They didn't want American dollars to be floated around, so we went with script. First time we had British warm beer, and one and only time we saw a belly dance.
Yeah. Are you in these pictures?
Yeah.
I want to show those ones.
This one here. That's our. See, we weren't allowed off base with uniform.
Right. For your protection, right?
Well, yeah, partially, yeah, probably. And so the, what do they call the base, brought in things for guys.
Is that you and that?
Yeah, in the
That's
green,
you?
yeah.
And that's you?
Yeah.
Yeah. In that top one.
Then on the backside is the town right outside our base.
Is that you on a camel?
Yeah.
Riding a camel. What'd you think of that?
Oh, it was just a lark,
Yeah.
And then this was the base there in Arabia. And inside the barracks. This was our surrounding scene.
Wow. A whole lot of nothing, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, nothing like it is nowadays.
Right.
And then this was along the coast. That was our trip up to that other, where we could get a hamburger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And all the camels.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is the refinery. This was one of our swimming trips.
Wow. Yeah, anything you want me to put up to the camera, you let me know and I'll grab it.
Yeah. Yeah, the basic exchange. We had to buy civilian shirts to wear with khaki pants.
Right.
And naturally you wore the khaki pants and they got faded out.
Mm-hmm.
And when we came back to the States, our khaki pants were almost white.
Wow.
And then we stood for retreat,
Uh-huh.
and we were like 3 or 4 guys spotted around in the group, and the guy came along, "Where the hell have you guys been?"
And you're like, you don't want to know.
Right, right. This was our swimming pool that we couldn't use because the Arabs had it all fouled up.
Oh.
And then there was one time our water distillation unit got broke, so they had to send to the States for parts.
Mm-hmm.
So we were rationed to water, and they were buying a tank car of water from the oil company every day to get us fresh water.
Right.
So we were rationed to a canteen of water a day, and that was during the heat and hot
Right.
warehouse and everything else. And one night the Arabs broke into our cistern, and what good water we had in there, I don't know what, but I think our cooks used it
Mm-hmm.
because that was the only water available.
Right.
And they broke into it, stole water out of it. Well, they don't want to get accused of stealing, so they replaced it with their own water, which was contaminated and everything else.
Right.
So I ended up in the base hospital for about a week or 10 days with dysentery.
Oh. Was there a lot of guys that ended up in the hospital because
Not
of
too
drinking
many.
it? No.
Not too many. So we couldn't figure out where the contamination came from. You know?
Right. So how did they find out that it was the Arabs that replaced the water?
I don't know. That was all the politics of the base.
Right. That's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, I
That's
said
very scary.
the first couple of days you think you're going to die.
Right.
And the other days you think you hope it dies.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then some funny things that happened there. We were under Matt's command when we went over, and doing the change of the runways and stuff. And then after 6 months, we transferred to SAC command.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of our supplies that I was taking care of, really, were supposed to be for SAC, so we weren't supposed to use them.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the weather conditions and everything there, the sand getting in the equipment and stuff, we were robbing out of the SAC command stuff.
Right.
And so I don't know what happened after I left, because, but at change of commands, the Air Force, always jokes, always had 2 left feet anyhow. So we were every Saturday morning and every Saturday morning prior to the change of command, we were out like mass formation, trying to learn how to drill and stuff in mass formation.
Right.
And so we come to the day of the change of command, and the record that they'd been using for us, somebody dropped it and broke it. So they replaced it with Scottish bagpipes.
Oh no.
And you try to march to that.
Oh my god.
It was just a big mess.
Love to see that on video.
Yeah. Oh, it was just a mess.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What else? What other kind of stories?
Oh,
What other kind of memories do you have?
oh golly. There were quite a few. Like I said, our chaplains, we had a Catholic chaplain, a Protestant chaplain. Neither one could wear the cross on the collar.
Mm-hmm.
And the Catholic chaplain, he had to have mass behind the screen in the base theater. So that's where we had our mass.
Yeah.
So it'd be hidden from the Arabs.
Right.
At Christmas time, we were supposed to get a USO group in. Arabs wouldn't let them in because there were some Jews in the group.
Oh,
So our morale at Christmas time was real low.
I'm sure.
And they flew down a big Christmas tree for us, big pine tree, and laid out in front of our barracks and just withered and died.
Oh.
But one time the, what do you call it, where you could buy stuff,
Like the PX?
pigs.
Yeah.
They got in a bunch of toys for us that we could send to the kids at home.
Oh yeah.
And that one night when everybody had bought toys, we were running the cars up and down the aisle in the barracks.
You were playing with the toys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
And then, then naturally we mailed them home.
Did you have your son or your daughter by then?
No,
No, okay.
no, I didn't have any children until after service.
After you got out,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was, you know, you saw things and you heard things, and I said, just 3 years in there gave you a lot of experiences.
Yeah. So it affected your life
Oh,
greatly
yeah,
being
sure.
in there. Yeah, good and bad.
Yeah,
Yeah. Are you happy that you chose to join the Air Force?
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much so. Now I've got 3 nieces.
I was gonna
I mean,
ask.
2 nieces.
I was gonna ask you about your kids and grandkids and see if any of them are
Two-
part of the military now.
Yeah, 2 nieces are in the Air Force,
Wow.
and they both signed for longer than 4 years. They signed for 5.
Mm-hmm.
So when they got out of basic training, they automatically had 2 stripes.
Wow. And you're like, hey, I had to work for mine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's neat though, carrying on the family legacy of being in the military, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
neat. That's neat.
And the first month, I think it was, Ruth and I were living together down in Belleville. And this one night she was washing her hair. And I was deep into the supply
Mm-hmm.
booklet, trying to learn what I could. And she asked me to run down to the drugstore to get her some curlers, I think it was. And I didn't hear her. And here I am, deep in the book. And she comes back and she was madder than heck at me. It was our first argument. And she, why didn't you go down, and get me my curlers? I had to run down there with wet hair. But fortunately, it was only just, we were on a corner and the drugstore was just
Yeah.
a catty corner from us. But
That was your first fight?
yeah, yeah.
Over some curlers?
Yeah. And then I think I came close to having a major breakdown because so much pressure was on me.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, I was no stripes and I'd run in the warehouse.
Right.
Yeah. And then the one day they called me and said, there's a meeting. The sergeants are asked to check the what do you call them, the technical book,
Mm-hmm.
and see if there's supposed to be any changes. So I had to be there you're due in a half an hour.
Right.
So I go in there, and the rest of the guys are all master sergeants, and me with nothing, So you can imagine how much I felt,
Right, right.
I don't belong here at all.
Right.
Yeah, but
Obviously they had the confidence in you to put you in that position to run the place. So
well, probably.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I ran into wherever I went.
Yeah.
That I was expected to do something that called for more stripes.
Right.
And when I was over in Arabia, the major in charge came down. And he says, Newberry, why didn't you get your stripe this month? And I said, well, you can't beat politics. And he said, what do you mean? I said, well, the guy that made the stripe this month was the base commander's chauffeur.
Oh, that'll do it.
Oh, yeah.
So you finished with 2 stripes?
3.
3. Okay.
I mean, an average stripe a year.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was all under, I think, a lot of pressure a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it make you grow up real fast?
Oh, yeah.
Being a 20-year-old and being put
Oh,
in that
yeah.
position? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Made you responsible for so much that,
Right.
that you weren't ready for.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you think now about the war and about what we're dealing with, the conflicts right now? Iraq, Afghanistan, now Syria. What are your thoughts?
Korea was the first war that we won on the ground and lost through politics.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they've never ceased to end the war.
Right.
That's been, what, 50, 60 years ago?
Right.
And now we're dealing with an idiot over there in North Korea.
Yeah.
And all the wars we've had, people just don't realize what this country has, excuse me, what this country has gone through as far as the men. The men are asked to do superhuman efforts, and the rest of the country doesn't even recognize.
Right.
But I said, ever since we've been a member of the UN, we have not won a war.
Yeah.
And I think we should get out of the UN because it's doing nothing but draining us of materials and money.
Yeah. Yep, that's very true. That's very true. And now your nieces that are currently serving, have they had to do any overseas? Have they had?
Not as yet.
No.
Oh, wait a minute, no, the one, she just went over to Korea.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And the other one has had some medical problems, so she hasn't been overseas.
Yeah.
She got married a year ago.
Did they ask you for any advice?
No.
No. If they did, what advice would you give them for being in the military? For maybe you have a nephew coming up in the ranks who wants to possibly join the Air Force. What would your advice be?
Get all the education you can
Yeah.
and take advantage of all the programs that there are, which I didn't.
Right.
You know, we had a what would you call it? Service to us overseas that would like finish out high school and stuff like that, but I didn't take advantage of it.
No. So when you were getting out of the service then, what were your feelings about that? Were you excited? Were you...
Glad to get out.
Yeah.
Because I thought I had taken so much crap.
Right, right. And then so you got out, and did you come back to Freeport then? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you worked for your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that's probably one reason why I did get out, because I figured I had a place to go to.
Sure.
If I didn't have that job opening ready for me, why, I probably would have maybe stayed in, I don't know.
Right. But you had that job security knowing
Yeah.
that you got out.
Yeah. And
And did you end up taking over your dad's company?
yeah, what happened was, years later when my dad wanted to retire, my brother and I took it over as a partnership. And then after about 5 years of that, we had a falling out.
Okay.
So then I took over the store.
Okay. And is the store still open?
Oh, no.
No? Okay.
No, we got to close it in '95
Oh, okay.
because the chain stores just drove us out of business.
Yeah. Isn't that sad? They're
Yeah.
driving all the mom and pop stores.
Yes.
Yeah, that's sad.
And now they're driving each other out.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
it's
very
just going to be
true.
who's going to be the top guy in the pyramid.
Right. Right. So, Don, is there anything else that you haven't talked about, that you haven't shared, that stories? Is there anything else you want to add? You still have
Well, yeah, I'm kind of, I don't think actually bitter about it, but I don't like it. My records were in St. Louis, where the records of a lot of guys got burned up.
Yes. Yeah.
You know. So, as far as the Air Force is concerned, I don't qualify for any ribbons.
Oh.
You know, and I had overseas service
Right.
during Korea,
Right.
and I should qualify for at least a ribbon for that. You know.
So you never received your Korean ribbon?
No.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, and I joined the Korean veterans here in town.
Right. That's why I was going to ask you if you're a member of any of the veteran groups.
Oh, yeah, I'm life member of that, and life member of the VFW, and
Yeah.
life member of the AMVETS.
Okay. Are you active with them? Do you go to
I
meetings?
was,
Do
yeah,
you...
up until a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I still try to help a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And, but, you know, it kind of makes me mad, you know, the Air Force doesn't recognize any of my efforts.
And especially all you went through, and that you were, put in positions you shouldn't have been, and to not even be recognized for that.
Yeah. Well, the major over in Arabia, in charge of the supply, he came down to me and he says, Newberry, he says, like he said, he couldn't understand why he didn't make my stripe. And he wrote a recommendation and put it in my records.
Yeah. And it all got burned up, huh?
Oh, yeah.
So were you able to recover any copies of your DD-214s? Or
Well, I got my DD.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you got the important one at
Yeah,
least.
yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I've heard a few stories of the people that have lost their records, and it's kind of like nothing they did existed anymore. That's a shame.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Oh. So, okay, let's say you're sitting here and your great-great-great-granddaughter or grandson is watching right now saying, that's my great-great-grandpa. What kind of advice, in general, life advice, living it, whatever it might be, what kind of advice do you want, or what would you want to say to your future generations that are going to be watching this?
Golly. Like I said before, get a good education. Think of yourself as a member of the human race, that you cannot just sit idly by. That when things come along, important things come along, like service in the military, that you have to almost treat it as a duty in order to keep the life that we have. I've seen too much overseas that how people live, and even the ones that are considered living good would be second or third class here in this country. Even with the British, who were considered what would you call a modern country and everything else,
Right.
they still didn't have some of the stuff that we had.
We take a lot for granted over
Yes,
here.
yeah,
That's
we take
for
a lot
sure.
for granted. I also say too that what this country has forgotten about is religion. You got to have good faith in God, because that's the only way you're going to make it through anything. I think is you got to have the backup there of prayer.
They'll get you through the tough times.
Yeah.
And you can thank him for the good times. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ruth and I had a lot of good times.
Is Ruth still with us, or
She's in Alzheimer's.
She is? Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been married? I'm
We were
testing
married
ya.
in 50, so what is that,
67 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Does she live here in Freeport with you?
She's in the Alzheimer's at
In the-
Liberty Village.
Oh, she is? Okay.
Yeah, she's in her 6th year,
Okay.
and right now it's kind of a up and down with her.
Yeah. Do you get to visit with her?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but she doesn't know me.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have, do your kids live around here?
Yeah. I've got a son that lives in Roscoe, and a son that lives in New Glarus.
Okay.
And then my oldest son lives out in Seattle. And then my oldest daughter is in Savannah, Georgia. And the second daughter lives in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
How many kids do you have?
6.
Whew. That's full house, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't give them up for anything.
Yeah. And you have 14 grandkids, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my one son lives in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
He just retired from the military.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. He had 23 years or 24
How
years.
many of your kids went into the military?
2 of them.
2 of them. Okay.
Yeah. The second oldest and the second youngest.
Okay. Did they go Air Force?
No. One went Marine and the other went Army.
Oh, okay. So your family's like a mixture of all the branches.
Yeah,
That's kind
yeah.
of cool.
Yeah, my dad was Army in World War One.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you got a little bit all the branches. That makes
Yeah.
for interesting dinner talk.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah. The one that was Army, he was qualified for West Point.
Wow.
But I was in the wrong political party at the time, and it was all filled up, so he couldn't get there.
Oh.
So he took ROTC up in Madison, came out as a second Louis, and his first assignment was Panama, and that was during the time when they overthrew Noriega.
Mm-hmm.
And when he went down, he had to jump twice a month and be in the jungle 3 times a month, I think.
Okay.
So then he got his combat medal from when they overtook Noriega.
Okay.
So then he was in intelligence, and he went all over the world. And the one time I asked him, I said, well, what's your job? And he says, show the toys to our friends. So, you know,
Yeah.
you kind of get a picture of that.
Right.
And yeah, he retired as a lieutenant colonel.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah,
Good for him.
yeah.
That's amazing.
And Mike, he retired as a lance corporal,
Nice.
and I retired as a buck sergeant. You know?
Nice. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
But telling the kids again, there is a duty. Like the old saying goes, that freedom isn't free. That we all have a responsibility to either serve in the military or serve in, I would say, politics to help the country. And not the politics we have right now.
Right.
Our politics right now are horrible. We win the wars on the field and lose them through politics.
Yeah. That's sad.
You
It's
know,
a sad
and
thought.
we play by the enemy's rules.
Right. Yeah.
I can remember during Korea, they called it MiG Alley. Our B-29s would go up north and bomb, and they'd be close to the Chinese border. And the MiGs would come in from China, make a strafing at the bombers, and go right back into China. We
Right.
couldn't follow.
Not fair.
No, no, it isn't. No, no,
Not fair.
yeah.
It's things like that that make you go, huh.
Yeah. Yeah, what are our guys in Washington, what are they doing for us? Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Well,
Yeah, I had other experiences too that I could probably talk about, but,
You can if you want. That's what I'm here for.
oh, well, I said, our trip up to Jerusalem was so, I hate to use a phrase like this, but awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
We were there, we got there after the first go-around that the Arabs and Jews had. So Jerusalem was split in two, half Arab and half Jewish. We came in on the Arab side. So what we saw was just what the Arabs had, which in this case we were able to walk the path that Christ did for the
Right.
lines of blank.
That's all right.
Anyhow, they had their barbed wire emplacements and machine gun emplacements and stuff like that. And they told us, once you go across the line, you can't come back because you'd be contaminated. And that's how, how the
Right.
Arabs always feel.
Right. Right.
And to them, they're the only ones that are right.
Right.
And there again, coming back, we'd spent all the money we had because we'd overstayed, what we thought. So we had to stop at Baghdad to the legation to get an advance and pay, so we could pay for our hotel.
Right.
We go into the hotel, it was a modern hotel, had just been opened. And it was by one of the American chains. And the waiter came over to us and asked us what we wanted, and we said, well, you know, what do you got? And he said, well, you know, such and such on the main entree. He said, well, then give us that, you know. We didn't know what he was talking about. He comes back, it was all brains.
Oh.
And, you know, we take one look at that, you know.
Oh.
And so we kind of passed that up. And he said, well, what do you want to drink? We said, coffee. You want American coffee? Yeah. Yeah, so he comes with a jar of Nescafe and the hot water for American coffee.
Better than brains, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can't mess up coffee too much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But like I said, while we were over there, our food was horrible at the base. And the guy that I bummed around with, he and I would go down to breakfast in the morning, and one day we'd call it cream of wheat, and the next day we'd call it grits.
Right.
And that was our best meal.
Right.
You know, it was something.
Well, that would fill you up for a while at least.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You had some cool experiences, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I said probably the wrong time to be in the Air Force because, you know, they were just growing and getting
Right.
settled and everything. You know?
Right.
Because I've seen a couple of my buddies from Freeport that stayed in longer. They went in a lot later than I did, maybe like 6 months or so.
Right.
And they didn't have the same.
That made a difference,
Yeah.
just the 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow. And nowadays, completely different than
Oh.
back then.
When I hear that the discipline is so
Yeah.
lacking.
Yeah. Yeah. That's today's world.
Yeah. Yeah, this one niece of mine, she started learning Arabic and how to write Arabic because they were going to put her on a plane, you know, one of these that could listen
Mm-hmm.
and she could write down stuff
Right.
in Arabic then. I mean, read it or
Right.
understand it.
Translator.
Translate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That would be a cool job.
Yeah, but then, you know, she had bad health and everything, so we had
Right.
to get out of that.
Oh.
But she'd studied a long time for that.
Yeah.
And that's where she met her husband, too.
That's a neat qualification to have, though. That'll take her far. You
I
know,
think
being
so.
able to.
I think so.
Yeah.
If she stays with it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I want to make sure I get this for you. This is from Unity Hospice. It says in honor of your service. Thank you.
Man.
A-
Oh, man.
An enclosed flag for you for your service.
That's wonderful.
So, on behalf of everybody at Unity Hospice and all of America, thank you for your service. Because
Wow. Like
if
I
it
said,
wasn't for guys like you, who knows?
I didn't accomplish anything.
You did, though. You did. I mean,
Well,
you did your duty, as you were saying, you know, to serve in the military and, you know, be a part of your country, be proactive about it. So we really, really appreciate your service, and
oh.
that's just a little something for you to say thank you for
Oh.
everything you did for
Well,
our country.
I think this is wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. Gee.
So that's yours from Unity Hospice to say thank
Yeah, you made my service worthwhile now.
Oh, you're the cutest. All right, Don. Well, thank you again